This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun. No.
Y'all, just stop. This is a sham. Welcome to DBL. Happy Friday, everybody. It kind of feels like a Friday in here, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Me and Al, we're the Blues Brothers today.
Blues Brothers, and I'm your 1940s manager.
Yeah, I could
Get a gimlet, boys.
I could see that. Yeah.
Can you go?
I want to see how long we can sit there for. I want to see how long it lasts. All right, so let's get to it. We have some sad news. Let's get it together, okay? So we have some very sad news, an update about actress Heish. So according to our rep, Anne suffered a catastrophic brain injury from her crash last week and is not expected to survive. There are plans to try to donate her organs, and they're keeping her on life support to see if her organs are viable. If you recall, Anne crashed her car into a home last Friday, resulting in both the house and car catching fire. There are also reports her blood tested positive for cocaine and possibly fentanyl. Her family said she will be remembered for her courageous honesty and dearly missed for her light. So sad news. I didn't know how serious this was when we reported this.
I knew it was bad
earlier this week, and it seems like it is.
You know, when I was reading about it, I think it took over half an hour for them to extract her from the burning car. And I know that sounds graphic, but that adds to the brain injury being anoxic, meaning you don't get oxygen there, smoke inhalation, all of that. It's terribly sad when someone goes like this at that age, and who is a really great actress and a great activist. It's a complicated issue because the cocaine makes me feel if she willingly got in that car, she could have killed a child or a person or my mother or anyone, or, you know, so it's complicated for me. I feel awful for her family. I'm glad she's donating organs, but that doesn't stop her from what we think possibly happened.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the honesty because I think everyone kind of feels that same way.
It's like awkward to say that, though.
But don't necessarily want to bring that to the table, especially in this time,
exactly.
Right? But it doesn't excuse, like you said, what you did, right? Very lucky no one was hurt. She obviously hurt herself.
Yeah, and the homeowners, everything's gone.
Right. But it does, you know, there's...
And they were traumatized, too.
Yes.
I mean, and Jeff, I think what you're saying is right on, because it's hard to, I think that's what we constantly do, Tori. We're trying to say this is good and this is bad, and it's sad how she died, and, like, you know, she shouldn't have done that, but life isn't like that. You know, it's she had clearly probably has some substance abuse issues, which I have had, and which many people have. Some people are able to handle that and they relapse right at the end and fall apart. Some people are able to keep going with it. So I look at this as just a person that was not finished with their work here on this planet, and when it ends stunted like this, all you kind of have is, you know, picking up the pieces and remembering the end. But I hope true Heish fans will remember all the joy that she brought to people's lives, because there was a lot of good there too. And that's kind of how life and death is. It's all mixed together and it's hard to separate.
Right, and bring at least some awareness if there was some mental health issues, which she had in the past, which is a positive in, I guess, a dark silver lining, right?
Absolutely.
We're talking about it more openly now, right? And trying to address it before things like this happen.
I agree.
All right, guys, so let's move on. All the attention on his honeymoon with Jennifer Lopez might have been too much for Ben Affleck. So according to Page 6, Ben was a little freaked out with all the paparazzi following their every move in Paris and compared it to all the attention around the late Princess Diana. And while Ben is used to the attention, he still gets upset when being photographed all the time. The proof was in the photos. Jen usually looks fantastic, and Ben, not so much in some of these photos. Photos of him sleeping on the boat also went viral and quickly became the stuff of internet memes.
I do want to say this, because at first I'm like, get over yourself. You're an American celebrity, you're huge, you obviously know paparazzi. In Europe, the paparazzi, where the name came from, meaning mosquitoes in Italian, that's what paparazzi means, because they cover you like that. It is another whole thing. It's like a really crazy thing. They don't have the same laws. They don't have to stay far away from you. They can just attack. And some laws were changed after Diana.
Oh, yeah.
They had to. But again, it's a different beast. It's like what Amanda Knox says when she was in Italy. She said it had nothing compared to the paparazzi that was in Italy and in Europe as opposed to America. So I just want to make that clear for anyone that doesn't know that.
But you don't feel anything for Ben Affleck? Like they don't make him look favorably in any of those photos.
Right, no,
it's almost like if you get a bad photo of Ben Affleck, that's worth more money than it is to just get a picture of him and J-Lo.
I think I think in Europe, they're particularly aggressive and mean. So I do feel bad because at first I was like, come on, Ben, but now I'm like, no, they do purposely make you look
And also,
bad.
don't forget the paparazzi are people, and they have favorites as well. Just like you think about sports reporters and people that get voted for the Hall of Fame and people that don't, even though they have similar numbers. Like the people that are voting are just like the people that are taking pictures. If there's a narrative they want to create, like, hey, we love Selena Gomez, and who doesn't love Selena Gomez? They're going to show pictures of her favorably, you know, looking like Selena Gomez and doing positive things. With Ben Affleck, cheated on Jennifer Garner, kind of famous alcoholic.
And angry with the paparazzi.
Angry with the paparazzi. Yeah. So they're like, okay, well, every time we show you, because I remember seeing like a couple of years ago, and TMZ or somebody would have one of those, you know, celebrities with bad bodies at the beach, and it was just like him, you know, looking like a guy at the beach. He wasn't ripped. Yeah. But I was like, why would you post this to somebody? Because they wouldn't do that to like a body positive singer.
Totally.
You know, so it's like there are different rules for different people, and it's because the people posting these pictures also have their own agenda. So we have to remember this isn't some computer algorithm. These are people with agendas too.
But did he cheat on Jennifer Gardner? I don't know.
We don't know.
Allegedly.
Let's say allegedly. But there are different rules for different people, and I just wanted to make sure we corrected. Yeah. There are different rules for different people, and I'm learning that each day as I grow older, right? On one hand, we said Ben Affleck famously had an alcohol problem. Some people, we forgive everything because of that alcohol problem. We're like, hey, thank you for standing up and let's get some help. On this person, we take photos of them looking their worst and dragging them down when they're already underwater.
You're right.
So it's like, how do we decide who decides? And when you're purchasing these photos or these tabloids or telling stories about them, you're kind of contributing to that.
Absolutely.
So we definitely live by different rules. Nobody out there wants to see that, but we all play by different rules.
Absolutely. And for instance, like the Fred Savage story started to go back, but everyone's like, no.
Yeah.
It's because we all love Fred Savage. So that comes into play, the bias.
Yeah. All right. So let's get this in. Lisa Kudrow, which our boss, I hope she doesn't mind, is Lisa Kudrow's. And I always get confused.
When I read that, I was like, what?
Yeah, I always get confused. And when I saw the morning meeting, I was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. So Lisa Kudrow from Friends is speaking out about the lack of diversity on her show Friends, which ended nearly 20 years ago. So let's bring it to the table. Speaking to the Daily Beast, Lisa said the show's two creators, who are white, had no business writing stories about the experiences of being a person of color because they were writing the show from their own perspectives. Lisa previously said that if the show were to air today, it would not be an all-white cast.
There was not only no white people in the cast, let's be honest. In all of New York City, there was no one of color until like Aisha Tyler came in and played Ross's girlfriend. It was just, they'd show scenes in a cafe and there wouldn't be people of color. So it's not just the cast that is a problem. They're just they weren't written into the show at all.
And our boss's name is Lisa Credos, and I screwed that up.
Yeah, that's what I was like,
it just hit me while I was talking. I'm like, wait,
it's like
Lisa Kudrow's Credos.
Am I okay
Sorry,
to
Lisa.
say, like, it's fine? Like the fact that Friends is all, like, honestly, this was 30 years ago. We can't go back and the world was a different place, especially, I don't think people realize, like pre-internet, how different the world was. Yeah. So to go back and try and like, you know, reanalyze what was going on with the sitcom back then is ridiculous. The idea, if they had written black folks in, there would be memes about the sentences that they had them say. This is a much more integrated world. I was at the house last night, just flicking channels, and I went past Jimmy Kimmel, and I don't know who it was, but there was a black woman next to him at his desk doing something while he was interviewing something. And then I turned to the next talk show. I clearly don't watch him. I don't know whose name it was. And there was a black woman being interviewed. And I was like, wow, look at this. You know, I just turned it to the idea of Joan Rivers trying to break through into talk shows, and the fact that we have that show Hacks based on that, how impossible it was for women to break into late night. And last night, I'm casually scrolling, in the first two late night shows I see a black woman in the host desk and a black woman in the guest. Things are different. Things are improving.
Is it okay?
So can we at least talk about how great it is, rather than going back 30 years?
Yes, but can we say, man, that was pretty white? Are we allowed to like comment on it just for historically?
Oh, it was beyond white.
Right.
Yes, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak out of turn here, but why the constant apologies? They were just actors doing a show. The writers were just doing the thing. I grew up on Martin. Like, am I out of turn by saying I've never even thought about it'd be different if a white person was on?
Marta Kaufman from Friends, who's one of the writers she's speaking about, has often come out aggressively against this, being like, we incorporated this. Only recently did she come out and say, I shouldn't have spoken out against it.
But why? But how? I don't know. I'm just confused.
I don't even know, Jeff.
I'm just confused about why it's still, like, we talk about it a lot on this show, and the actors are still apologizing for it. It's
I don't know if she apologized.
We are in a different place, like Al said. That wouldn't happen today. But to go back and, like, try to fix everything retroactively that happened in the past 20 years ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago, we can't.
I don't think she
so
apologized.
What are we arguing about?
I think she was saying, she's not apologizing. I think what she was saying is, if it were now, of course it wouldn't be the same. And that's true.
And also, I don't mind her sticking up. If you're proud of something, I'm proud of this show.
But it's an iconic American television show.
If in 20 years somebody tried to ask us, like, why, if things had changed, and they're like, why did you guys have your cameraman standing up there? Now they have places to sit. I'm like, that's what we were doing there because that's the best we knew.
Right.
You know, and we're going forward now. I don't think it's cool to attack somebody's life's work. Whoever worked on Friends, that was your life's work.
Right.
And I understand you defending it. I'm not even saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I understand you defending it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're apologizing. I think they're saying, yes, you're right. Friends would not work.
Well, we do this story all the time.
It is, I know.
You know what I mean?
It's an iconic Americana.
But that's how you know things have gotten better. Friends look crazy now.
Agreed.
So things are
totally agree. Good button. Coming up on DBL, the second Field of Dreams game was last night and featured some surprise guests. We'll tell you who. And Kate McKinnon opens up about breaking character on the set of SNL. We're taking a look back at some of the most memorable times the cast broke. My favorite.
Yeah, your
Coming
favorite.
Up next.
Closed captioning provided by.
I think it is one of those stories we're all going to be like, what? So raised you.
Why am I right all the time?
Am I going crazy?
Welcome to another week of Jeff's Mustache. All right, so I like that conversation about, like, Friends, because I feel like we have it all the time, and people say the same thing all the time. Like, yeah, it should be more diverse. Of course it should. Of course, everyone says the same answer all the time, but you can't go back and change.
And that's what she was
something
saying.
Like
she was
that.
like, these writers don't have that background, so why would they write about that personal
But that's what I'm saying, right? So if you wrote, I don't know. It's just everyone who's not in this business wants to fix what's wrong with this business and not know how hard it is to get a show on air, how hard it is to write a script. So you write about your own experiences, and if you don't have certain experiences, whether with gay people, people of color, Asian people, they might not be in that script. So it's not that you're outright trying to be racist, it's that you're trying to do what you're trying to do to get something that's basically impossible put on the air.
But if I'm a little person of color, if I'm a little girl who's a person of color, or Asian, or disabled, and I'm watching the iconic Americana show, and there's not one person that represents me.
But was that the time back then?
Totally different.
Totally. You know, speaking to that now, if you're a young person and you're saying, I would like to see myself, I don't see many Asian Americans represented in this field, and that is constantly being a hashtag why aren't Asian Americans? Guess what's going to happen in the next 6 months? There is going to be, when there is a lane that is not being covered, the best thing about capitalism and the worst thing about capitalism, the best thing is if there's a lane that's open, somebody will fill it.
Supply and demand,
even if it's not because they're trying to be diverse. They're like, hey, there's a vacuum. Eyeballs that want to look at this. We're going to make this. So I think that's why I said Friends would not go now. But you're right what you know. I wrote a kid's book about having a son with autism. I wrote a movie about being on a comedy tour. It's what I know. The men in there are black. It's not because I'm culturally inclusive. It's because they were black.
What?
I am black.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
How dare you?
I'm not a good guy.
So Kate McKinnon says she felt ashamed when she broke character on SNL. Those are some of my favorite moments. Kate recently left SNL after 11 seasons. She told Vulture magazine, there is something unprofessional about breaking character, but sometimes it was just too much fun. Kate was known for breaking from time to time, like on this sketch during Weekend Update with Colin Jost. But she's not alone. SNL cast members and hosts have a long history of breaking in the middle of a scene. Let's watch.
You know, we all can't be brave rainy like Fern here.
That we may never know how many people perished.
You know what, Debbie? You are totally ruining my trip to Disney.
Moonlight, La La Land. You're both right.
He's just that good to me. Sorry, Carl. Sorry, Carl. You gotta go.
I gotta be 100. This is the reason I got into this business, from watching outtakes from movies growing up. And I'm like, that looks like the most fun in the whole world. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. Not knowing how I was going to do that, but that's what I want to do. These are my favorite moments in television when people break on live TV, including us.
Yo, of course, it makes it real.
If you go, you can do this right now. Like, go and look at news bloopers, and then look at how many views they have.
Millions.
Like 50,
millions.
60 million, because especially anchors that's who we expect to be solid and deliver. And so when they break, it's just it's like universal. So I think people like this as long as it feels organic. So I'm here for that.
Yeah, I spent like many a year, like a decade in improv, right? And Lorne Michaels famously too.
Did you say you've spent many a year?
Yeah, like many a moon.
You should have walked out of like a cave dwelling and said that to the moon.
Many a moon. And the one thing you don't do is break. You commit. No matter if I'm a raisinette or I'm a monkey or I'm in space, I don't break. I'm in space because otherwise the joke or the story isn't told. Lorne Michaels famously gets mad, but it is by far the best time when everyone breaks. It's the ones we all remember. It's like the scenes of the Debbie Downer one, when it was just like no one could keep a straight face.
But that, I mean, to compare it to people, because sometimes you have to keep a straight face, right? And the harder the story, the worse it is to keep a straight face. If we're just having fun, you could have fun. But it's kind of like, to compare it to people at home, when someone's like in your classroom and the teacher just like yelled at you and then someone passes gas, and you're like,
yeah,
that's pretty much how it's like
synagogue.
And we're laughing about something else, but then like we were at the top of the show, and then a serious story comes on. It's like, whoa, you have to like switch it, but sometimes you can't.
That's right. And I don't know if you guys in church, but in temple, you're supposed to be quiet, and all I did was laugh with my best friend.
Right.
We got in so much trouble.
In temple, do you have the wooden pews?
No, we don't have pews, but we have seats.
Because we have pews that echo that noise in the Catholic Church.
If you think about just like the essence of like
it is an echoey kind of thing.
The best stand-up comics are able to create this tension and then break it right at the end with the twist to make that laugh. And I mean, that's kind of like what we're seeing when we do see news anchors, you know, or anybody break characters. Like, there's a tension and it's broken with humor, and everybody needs that, especially now. So I get it, and shout out to I love Kate, but I think she's wrong about this. We love it as long as it's organic and feel like
over and over again.
Absolutely.
Right.
But what happened to this business? Am I just complaining now?
I'm just. You sound like an old man.
You
What
should
happened?
But what happened? I got into this business for this, and now it's become something completely different, and everyone's at each other's throats, and you're this and that, and it's like gotten so far away from what I dreamed as a little kid.
The pendulum will swing back. Right now, it's just to protect people who never had a voice in the first place. It'll come back. It will.
Well, I wasn't speaking about that, but, but thanks for making me look like exactly what I was trying to say.
It's usually the two-hand pendulum.
Okay, well, coming up on DBL, the Field of Dreams game featured some surprising guests last night, including a hologram appearance. We're rounding up the night's best moments next.
We touch a lot of surfaces every day that other people have also touched. Amid the monkeypox outbreak, which the federal government has declared a public health emergency, many people online have questions about how the virus spreads. Verify viewers Becky and Rob specifically asked whether monkeypox can be transmitted by touching surfaces. So let's verify. Can you get monkeypox by touching contaminated surfaces? Our sources are the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the California Department of Public Health, and Dr. Scott Roberts, assistant professor of infectious diseases at the Yale School of Medicine, who says the risk of getting infected through a surface is quite low.
It's not zero, but it is low. And so that risk of a fleeting contact or somebody briefly touching something probably does not lead to enough virus on that surface to infect you if you get exposed.
So yes, a person could get infected with monkeypox by touching contaminated objects, fabrics, or surfaces that have been used by someone with the virus. But that's not the most common way that it spreads. Monkeypox transmission primarily occurs through close personal, often skin-to-skin contact with people who have monkeypox symptoms, such as a rash and sores, according to the CDC and the California Department of Public Health. Roberts says studies are currently ongoing about how long the virus can survive on surfaces. So far, experts know that the virus family monkeypox comes from can survive on surfaces, particularly when in cool, dark, and low humidity environments. But Dr. Roberts and the CDC both say that these viruses are sensitive to many disinfectants.
This virus is easily killed. So common disinfectants that we use, such as alcohol wipes or Lysol wipes, very easily kill the monkeypox virus.
So we can verify, yes, monkeypox can spread by touching contaminated surfaces, but the current risk is low. Health experts are much more concerned about COVID-19 because unlike monkeypox, the virus can spread through the air. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
Welcome back. Last night was the second Major League Baseball Field of Dreams game in Iowa. It began with Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. coming out of the cornfield and playing catch together on the field. A beautiful moment. And then all the players, of course, from the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds followed behind. There was also this touching moment. It got me during the seventh inning stretch featuring a hologram of the famous Chicago Cubs broadcaster who I grew up on, Harry Carey. Hey, take a look.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back.
That was more of a Christopher Walken than a Harry Carey, but nonetheless, I thought it was a beautiful moment. Al, you're not...
No, that was.
You're not feeling it.
Full disclosure, I made fun of that earlier, just because they were walking slower. But then the second time when it was Ken Griffey and his dad, started thinking about it. I was like, oh, dang, I should have made fun. But that's what comics do. We make fun and then we apologize.
And then you apologize.
That being said, the hologram, is that...
We've come a long way.
If we put 5 more years of technology on that, could you guys see yourself going to like a concert where you know it's a hologram if it looks
100%?
1,000%. They do it now with ABBA. ABBA did it. They're still living, but they didn't want to travel. It's all holograms. I would have immediately go to see an ABBA show if it's that clear.
But will you pay full price?
At some point for like a show like that, I will. But here's my question: that becomes so real, somebody might get tricked. There's like deep fakes with that kind of stuff.
But with a hologram.
Could we keep it?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you went real conspiracy.
The government!
Yeah, Tori's already thinking about how to use this.
Yeah, think about how many countries would want that technology.
Well, I think that's out. Since the Field of Dreams people have it, I think other major superpowers do.
Do you guys know who said this in the movie? If you build it, they will come.
Kevin Costner?
No.
The director, right?
Oh.
Who?
Wait, who's the voices?
Anyone else?
Wait, who?
Can you just give us the answer? We're on live TV.
Ed Harris. Amy Madigan's husband, who plays Kevin Costner's wife, he says it.
It was a beautiful segment, now it's ruined.
And just like the lead up, I thought you were going to say like that was Tom Hanks and it was the only line he said in the movie or something. It was just like,
he's not, yeah, it's Ed Harris.
Republicans.
But you really dragged that out for Ed Harris.
It's a cool story.
All right, we got to go. It was great. We'll just cut the
End it with
halfway.
Ed Harris.
Oh, by the way, Ed Harris. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
For supporters typically on the left, the bill is being celebrated as a big win for environmental efforts and healthcare access. But critics, typically on the right, say it's full of overtaxing and overspending. So what's really in the bill?
Our sources are Bill Hoagland from the Bipartisan Policy Center, Chris Edwards from the Cato Institute, the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, and the bill itself. When it comes to taxes, the biggest change is that large corporations, earning at least $1 billion annually, will have to pay a 15% minimum tax. It also enacts a 1% tax on stock buybacks, when a company buys back its own shares. The plan would also boost funding to the IRS.
By $80 billion.
Most of it going to enforcement will allow for there to be an increase in collection.
With healthcare, the bill allows for Medicare to negotiate prices for some drugs, and it creates caps on drug costs for those on Medicare.
It puts a cap, which would be immediate, on the out-of-pocket expenditures that the individual has to pay at $2,000.
The bill also extends financial assistance until 2025 for many enrolled in the Affordable Care Act, which would have expired at the end of this year. The legislation also involves environmental changes, offering incentives and tax credits for businesses for being green. For example, those that produce or invest in wind or solar. And it would also offer credits to consumers, like those with clean energy expenses, such as solar panels or who buy electric vehicles.
It's really a cornucopia of energy and environmental subsidies.
Perhaps the biggest question here has to do with inflation and what the bill will actually do to curb rising costs. The Congressional Budget Office scored the bill, and remember, there are a lot of different factors at play here impacting different groups in different ways. But ultimately, analysts say the bill will have a negligible impact on inflation in the next year.
Warner Brothers recently merged with Discovery and announced plans to combine the two company streaming services, HBO Max and Discovery Plus. That's prompted a lot of rumors about what could happen to your favorite movies and TV shows, like this viral tweet that suggested HBO was, quote, ditching all the scripted content. Some people began to fear that prestige dramas like Succession would be axed in favor of reality shows like 90 Day Fiancé. But is that actually what's happening? Is HBO Max abandoning scripted content? To verify, we reached out to Warner Brothers and listened to the recent investor call that in part prompted these claims. First, an HBO Max spokesperson told Verify in no uncertain terms that, quote, rumors about scripted content being ended are completely false. And you can see evidence for that in the recent earnings presentation about the merger and the new strategy going forward. On slide after slide, HBO Max content and Discovery Plus content are shown as two pieces of a larger plan, rather than one replacing the other. This slide, for instance, says the two brands are, quote, unique and complementary, and even highlights that HBO Max content is scripted. Executives on the call repeatedly emphasize the company will continue to make scripted content.
HBO Max has never been hotter. Quality is what matters. We're doubling down on that HBO team. They're all committed under contract, and we're going to spend dramatically more this year and next year than we spent last year and the year before.
So we can verify, no, HBO Max is not abandoning scripted content. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Welcome back. We all love to binge watch our favorite shows, but sitting for a long period of time is not good for our bodies. It's time for some joint and muscle support brought to you by Omega XL. So sitting too long can cause pain and stiffness in your lower back, legs, and knees. So get up and move between episodes. You can take a short walk around the neighborhood, do some standing stretches, or try low-impact exercise like yoga. Omega XL has improved the lives of millions of consumers, supported by 30 years of clinical research. Omega XL's powerful and proven benefits have transformed the lives of athletes, celebrities, and dedicated daily users. Call 1-800-686-5325 or visit OmegaXL.com for more information.
Walking, so underrated. I know it sounds super corny, but a lot of like the workout people I talk to, they watch on YouTube, they always say like a 30-minute walk after dinner, no matter how tough your workout was, just kind of burns those extra calories and gets you that cut you want. Walking in water, it works.
Absolutely.
All right, Al, can we go out on something fun?
What's your favorite? What band would you see?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What band would you see in the hologram before Tori took it to government conspiracies?
I'd want to see Prince one more time.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, yes, absolutely. What about you?
I would Bob Marley, 100.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a really good one. I wonder if they would do like Elvis.
Oh, would
that be yours?
No, I would do ABBA.
Yeah?
Yo, yeah.
But you can see ABBA now.
Oh, you know, I do Queen. Excuse me.
Oh,
Queen.
that would be a good one.
Freddie Mercury, 1,000%.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Who would open up if Bob Marley and Freddie Mercury were in a concert? Who would be the opener?
Neither.
Sit on that over the weekend.
I can't even answer.
I know.